Hello, everyone, and welcome. You are watching Eagle News America. I am Maya Manzano-Garzon coming to you from Sicklerville, New Jersey. Tonight, we have live updates from several of our correspondents from across North and South America. Nadine Dueñas in Ciudad de Guatemala reports about the European Union leading to Guatemala 72,000 test kits to detect COVID-19 cases. May Davila in Ciudad de Panama reports about Panama launching the virtual platform Esther to restart classes. Thomas Likeness in Edmonton, Alberta.
Hackers spread ransomware with fake COVID ID tracing apps.
Frontal Feharan in Seattle, Washington.
Facial coverings mandatory in Washington. Are there exemptions?
Julian Fiesta in Delano, California.
The Los Angeles roads recovery continues in LA County despite the increasing number of COVID-19 cases.
Plus, tonight we will talk about family heirloom recipes that have been passed down through generations. But first, an overview of how the world looks now. According to the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University in Medicine, as of 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Wednesday, June 24, 2020, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide is now more than 9,300,000. This includes more than 2,300,000 in the United States and more than 104,000 in Canada. Sadly, this virus has claimed more than 479,000 lives worldwide. This number includes more than 121,000 deaths in the United States and more than 8,000 in Canada. Our coverage begins now. President Donald Trump says he expects to shift some U.S. troops from Germany to Poland, as his Polish counterpart acknowledges urging the American leader not to withdraw forces from Europe. The U.S. leader was speaking at the Rose Garden press conference alongside Polish President Andrzej Duda. Take a look.
I've said many times, Poland is one of the few countries that are fulfilling their obligations under NATO, in particular their monetary obligations, and they asked us if we would send some additional troops. They're going to pay for that. They'll be paying for the sending of additional troops, and we'll probably be moving them from Germany to Poland. We're going to be reducing Germany very substantially down to about 25,000 troops. We actually had 52,000, but we'll be moving it down to about 25,000. Germany's paying, as I've said many times, Poland is one of the few countries that are fulfilling their obligations under NATO, in particular their monetary obligations, and they asked us if we would send some additional troops. They're going to pay for that. They'll be paying for the sending of additional troops, and we'll probably be moving them from Germany to Poland. We're going to be reducing Germany very substantially down to about 25,000 troops. We actually had 52,000, but we'll be moving it down to about 25,000. Germany's paying, as I've said many times.
Meanwhile, former U.S. Deputy Attorney General Donald Ayer says he believes, quote, William Barr poses the greatest threat in my lifetime to our rule of law. During a House Judiciary Committee hearing to discuss politicization of the Justice Department involving Barr in other cases, including the prosecution of longtime Trump associate Roger Stone.
Mr. Barr's actions make clear that in his Department of Justice, the president's allies get special treatment. The president's enemies, real and imagined, are targeted for extra scrutiny, and the needs of the American people and the needs of justice are generally ignored.
I am here because I believe that William Barr poses the greatest threat in my lifetime to our rule of law and to public trust in it. That is because he does not believe in its core principle that no person is above the law. Instead, since taking office, he has worked to advance his lifelong conviction that the president should hold virtually autocratic powers. That includes immunity from nearly all checks and balances and being able to accord special treatment to himself and his friends.
Mr. Barr's actions make clear that in his Department of Justice, the president's allies get special treatment. The President...
Coming up, updates from our correspondents in North and South America. We will return shortly. Stay with us. This is Eagle News America.
Patindi ng patindi at tuloy-tuloy ang pagpapakita ng galing ng ating mga TNG aspirants.
You're just too good to be true. Open up, you came to get it wrong with a dame, I should have drunk you back when I was a child.
Abangan ng kanilang performances sa pinakamalaking talent competition sa buong bansa, Tagisan ng Galing.
Tagisan ng Galing is presented by SMC Infrastructure, building a better world. Sanmig sugar-free white coffee, puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na Sanmig sugar-free white coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free. Vet-approved Nutrichunks, the only premium dog food with active boost for optimum energy and prebiotics that help strengthen immunity. Just like Catherine Bernardo, gawing listo ganado ang fur babies niyo. Listo ganado sa Nutrichunks. Magnolia Chicken Templados, delicious, ready to cook and freshly marinated daily. Pure Foods Luncheon Meat, pure sarap for every family. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Walang duda, kids can tell na #1 ang Pure Foods Tender Juicy. Ang tender, ang juicy, ang sarap. Co-presented by Cooper, expert in air conditioning and electromechanical. Also engaged in structural, electrical, fire protection, plumbing, and sanitary services. Cooper, your ultimate MEPS and air conditioning solutions. Unlad Incorporated International, fight against global poverty. New San Jose Builders Incorporated. Canrib Corporation, your ventilation and air conditioning specialist. Vita Herbs Philippines Green Coffee, masarap, mabango, at healthy pa. Puerto Rico Resort and Convention Center, Cabiao, Nueva Ecija. I love Puerto Rico. In participation with Rain or Shine Elastomeric Waterproofing Paint, Matinco, R Square Variables Incorporated, Compizel Enterprises, Saisho International Trading Corporation, DN Steel, EMAC UPB Roof Corporation.
Hey, Gretchen Ho here, and I'm a white coffee lover. Creamy kasi, and very yummy. Pero mas masarap kung hindi nakaka-guilty. Check my new discovery, Sanmig Sugar-Free White Coffee. Puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na! Sanmig Sugar-Free White Coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free.
The successful development of TPLEX, or Tarlac Pangasinan La Union Expressway in 2009, a 4-lane toll road that extends from Tarlac City to Rosario La Union, with an additional approved extension of 56 kilometers all the way to San Juan La Union. This is expected to reduce travel time to Baguio and other provinces in northern Luzon. Realizing the vision of creating a better world for Filipinos fueled the team's focus.
Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved Nutrichunks with active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat, with essential nutrients to help them grow healthy and happy. Listo, ganado sa Nutrichunks.
Ikaw lang ang star ng buhay ko. Para sa akin, perfect ka. Ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Pag Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, sarap ng corned beef, inangat pa ng real cheese cubes. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef.
Welcome back. You are watching Eagle News America. I am Mayan Manzano Garzon in Sicklerville, New Jersey. The European Union donates to Guatemala 72,000 test kits to detect COVID-19 cases. In Guatemala, Nathan Dueñas has the details.
The President of the Republic of Guatemala, Alejandro Giammattei, received on June 22nd 72,000 RT-PCR tests for the detection and diagnosis of the virus causing the respiratory syndrome of COVID-19 as a part of a donation of the European Union, which will serve to strengthen the institutional response of the government of Guatemala to this pandemic that the COVID-19 virus has caused worldwide. President Giammattei thanked the support the European Union offered to Guatemala, wherein he mentioned, quote-unquote, "There are friends we have to honor, such as the European Union. These 72,000 tests may seem like a small amount, but in reality, this is a big contribution to a country that is requiring to use many of its resources destined to emergency care." The president also announced that in the next few days, friendly governments will be joining with the donation of other tests that will help meet the needs in special equipment for mobile laboratories and to go to the different communities to detect cases. On the other hand, Ambassador Stefano Gatto stated that the European Union has reoriented its programs to support allied governments in their fight to contain the COVID-19 contagion. He said, quote-unquote, "These 72,000 tests are a small contribution to Guatemala. We wish they were more, but the demand for them is very high, which makes it difficult to obtain in the entire world." At the same time, he made it clear that it was obtained thanks to the joint effort and work between the countries forming the European Union. The symbolic donation took place in the facilities of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs when the ambassador of the European Union in Guatemala, Mr. Stefano Gatto, and the representative of the Pan American Health Organization and World Health Organization in Guatemala, Mr. Oscar Barrenche, were in charge. The tests Guatemala received came from the European Virus Archive Consortium, a group of 25 laboratories funded by the European Union, including the Institute of Medical Immunology of the Charité University in Berlin, endorsed by the standards of the World Health Organization. Ambassador Gatto indicated that the objective of this donation is to help raise the capacity of carrying out correctly the tests to prevent the virus from spreading. Oscar Berreneche highlighted that the European Union and the Team of Europe, locally formed by Germany, Spain, France, Italy, and Sweden, have reoriented various economic resources to provide aid and assistance to partner and friendly countries such as Guatemala. President Giammattei emphasized that since February of this year, Guatemala has implemented various measures to control the spread of this virus in the country. However, for the country, it has been essential to count on the support from international cooperation to cope up with the consequences caused by COVID-19. He recalled that international cooperation has played an important role in equipping specialized hospitals, providing medical supplies, medicines, and food for those who are most vulnerable, and that the economic impact that this virus has generated has affected them greatly. He said, quote-unquote, "Although there are still many challenges to face, having allies and friends makes the burden less burdensome, and the response can be increased," thanking the support received from the European Union. This is not the first time the European Union has supported Guatemala. Since 1994, this has financed with more than 570 million euros humanitarian projects in Central America. Those funds were used to respond to humanitarian emergencies derived from drought, floods, or earthquakes, relocation, and humanitarian consequences of widespread organized violence, and also the rest have been used to strengthen the preparedness of the most vulnerable communities and their institutions for new emergencies. The most recent help received from the European Union was the 550,000 euros in response to the damages caused by the tropical storm Amanda by the end of May, which had a great impact in El Salvador and in Guatemala. As for the presidential measures, there are new restrictions on the vehicle mobility, which was implemented since June 16 and will be enforced until June 30th. Mobility will be restricted depending on the last number of your car plate. For this week, car plates ending in even numbers 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8 are allowed to circulate on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, while the car plates ending in uneven numbers 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 are allowed to circulate on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. As per motorcycles, these are allowed to circulate independently from their plate number. And lastly, on Sunday, circulation of cars and people is forbidden. Those who do not follow these restrictions will be sanctioned with a fine starting from 500 quetzales. To the date, there are 14,550 COVID-19 cases, 11,059 active cases, 2,897 recovered, and sadly 582 casualties. En Ciudad de Guatemala, Nadine Dueñas, Eagle News, vivimos en tiempos interesantes.
Thank you, Nadine. Now, Panama launches the virtual platform Esther to restart classes. In Ciudad de Panama, May Davila has the story.
Panama will have for the next return to distance classes on July 20, a 100% local virtual education platform adapted to the national curriculum called Esther, which will allow integration of the educational alternatives that have emerged in response to the current situation. The initiative is part of the National Multimodal Education Strategy of Panama and corresponds to a learning management system that has a Moodle platform based on an open source without license cost, and a content factory adapted to the Panamanian curriculum intellectual property of the Ministry of Education. The platform, designed by the Autoridad Nacional para la Innovación Gubernamental, can be online or without an internet connection, and the contents may be distributed by different means, printed and digital. Students will use it from anywhere, and it will have a unified curriculum, which will allow the same quality of learning for students in urban and rural areas. The first phase will cost $30 million, which includes the platform, content development, and equipment for 12th grade students. It will have an app for Android and iOS mobile devices that will allow parents or students to download the content, to work without an internet connection, and then update the Esther database, which will also have a digital library of more than 10,000 titles from different areas of knowledge. The content will have all the elements of interactivity, games, and educational medals to make learning not only meaningful, but also motivating and fun. It will be carried out in phases and will first start with the 12th grade students, where the first contents that will be available are Spanish, mathematics, physics, and biology. Eventually, they will add the rest of the levels and subjects. For the monitoring of students, the platform has a system of general, specific, and individual reports that will allow teachers and the Ministry of Education to monitor the progress of students. It will be possible to see in real time how many students have had satisfactory results, what topics are causing learning difficulties, time spent within the platform, and a review of student progress. Students and teachers can register through the Office 365 platform, which will be integrated, and for this, they must request their email account at micoreyomeduca.edu.pa. Desde Ciudad de Panama, May Davila, Eagle News, vivimos en tiempos interesantes.
Thank you, May. Now, hackers spread ransomware with a fake COVID-19 tracing app. In Edmonton, our Alberta Bureau Chief Thomas Likeness has the story.
Good evening, Diane. Hope things are all going well with you. You know, in the jungle of the internet, there is a lion lurking about there, waiting to prey on your gadgets. You see, scammers never sleep. And right after Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced last week that the government would have a national COVID-19 tracing app, hackers went to work. They didn't waste a minute. All of a sudden, we see two fake websites emerging. A company called ESET, they're a cybersecurity company from Slovakia. ESET says the bogus sites look like official Canadian government websites. They look legit. And they're advertising an official COVID-19 tracing app that's allegedly endorsed by Health Canada. All people had to do was pick up the smartphone and just download it. Just download it on your Android device. One problem. What the victims ended up downloading was some ransomware. It's known as Crycryptor. Now, ransomware, of course, literally holds your information on your phone or your gadget ransom. you have to free it from hostage. This stuff is really bad. What this particular one does is encrypts all the personal data on your phone. So you go to access it, and up pops this note saying, email the attacker, and we can discuss recovery. Well, you know what that means. You're going to have to get out the credit card and pay dearly to get your information back. They'll give you a code to decode it, maybe. But anyway, you're going to be out either your money or your information. Well, as I said last week, the government announcement was made. What some weren't paying attention to was the fact the official app won't even be rolled out until next month. Not even going to be available until July, and even then, it's only going to be tested in Ontario for the time being. Lucas Stefanko is the guy who works for ESET, who kind of did the research into this ransomware. He says clearly the operation using Crycryptor was designed to piggyback on the official COVID-19 tracing app. Now, both those fake websites have been taken down according to ESET. The ransomware, at least there, is no longer a threat, but you got to be careful because they're going to pop up somewhere else. You just know it. I mean, they're like dandelions in your lawn. You can control them, but you can't get rid of them. It's also a reminder to be sure of what you're downloading. It's so easy to download an app. I mean, how many times are we on a site and we just press this and download? What are you getting? You see, there are more than just coronaviruses lurking in the background. There are computer viruses too. Anyway, for all of you, I wish you all good health. Take care of others. Take care of yourselves. Stay home. Stay safe. Oh, keep your gadgets safe too. And stay tuned to Eagle News for accurate and balanced coverage of the COVID-19 pandemic. In Edmonton, Canada, Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Leanne.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you for that report and that reminder. Well, are there any tracing apps in use in Canada right now?
Yeah, the Alberta government came out with one about a month and a half ago, and I've actually got it on my my cell phone. It is legit, and it works on Bluetooth. So if I'm sort of close to somebody who's tested positive, it's going to give me an alert. The whole problem with this this particular incident with the ransomware, as word gets out, you know, it's going to. Are people going to trust apps? Are they going to trust what they're downloading? And then you've got the element, the conspiracy theorists, the tinfoil hat society. Oh, this is just a government conspiracy, and you see this ransomware proves it. So it really things like this make it hard to have an app with any credibility.
Well, thank you, Thomas. But it's fortunate at least that you trust yours and you know that it is legit. Now, I would like to ask Frendel, if Washington has that contact tracing app, Frendel, would you be comfortable to download the COVID tracing app yourself?
I want to say, I think I would be okay to download it only because I'm very confident with the kind of security I have as far as identity theft and our electronic code backup and so forth. However, I'm not sure if I would keep it on my phone. I would definitely download it to see how it works for myself so that I could keep myself educated. But knowing that people can be asymptomatic and be transmitters of COVID-19, you know, you can't always be too sure, you know, and you just have to kind of look around and protect yourself and assume that they are transmitters, unfortunately, and just keep social distance and wear your mask.
Thank you, Frendel. How about Jillian in California? What do you think about this COVID tracing app, Jillian?
I think as long as it's legitimate, I would definitely try to download it onto my phone. But like as Frendel said, that it's better to just assume that everyone is carrying just to be safe because, as she said, people are also asymptomatic, and it's better to just stay safe and keep all of that social distancing.
Right. Thank you, everyone. Now, up next, more updates. Eagle News America will return shortly. Stay with us. You're watching Eagle News America. I am Mayan Manzano Garzon in Sicklerville. Facial coverings are now mandatory in Washington state, but are there exemptions? In Seattle, Bureau Chief Brenda Heirloom has the answer.
Thank you, Mayan. I'm sorry, we can't offer you any service if you refuse to wear your mask. This is a script that business owners in Yakima County have had in their back pocket this week. Due to the recent surge of positive COVID-19 cases, wearing face coverings has been a requirement effective this week. However, due to reports of increased number of COVID-19 cases in other counties throughout Washington, Governor Inslee and Secretary of Health John Wiseman announced yesterday that facial coverings will be mandatory statewide. So what does this mean? Everyone is required to wear a face covering when indoors in a public space. So for example, grocery stores, retail businesses, dental and medical offices, and yes, even restaurants. It is also required to wear a mask outdoors should 6 feet physical distancing is not possible. Now, like with previous orders, there are specific exemptions for those who are adversely impacted by wearing some form of mask. These exemptions include those who have certain medical conditions, children under the age of 2, children aged 2, 3, 4 are encouraged but not required while eating or drinking. So yes, you gotta wear your mask to the restaurant, but yes, please do remove it so you can eat and drink. While you communicate with those who are deaf or hard of hearing, and while outdoors in public areas, provided that 6 feet distancing is maintained from those who are not members of your household. Now, what kinds of face covering should we wear? Non-medical face coverings when in public, such as scarves, cloth face masks, bandanas. You gotta save medical masks for healthcare workers and others in high-risk settings. So those kind of masks that we should save are surgical masks, and they are also labeled as isolation, dental, or medical procedural masks. N95 respirators. Now, this requirement will take effect Friday, June 26th. Now, why should we comply? Our chance of contracting this harmful virus decreases. The safety and quality of life for our family, grandparents, and even our peers is protected. To continue reacting and recreating memories responsibly, to give reason for more businesses to reopen and stay open. In other words, as Governor Inslee tweeted, this is about saving lives. It's about reopening our businesses, and it's about showing respect, care for one another. Hashtag Mask Up Washington. Seattle, Washington, Friends of Heirloom, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Mayan.
Thank you, Frendel. What are some of the consequences for not complying with this new mandate there in Washington?
Thank you for the question. So some of the consequences for not wearing a face covering is, one, it is a misdemeanor. But if you're caught, there's no fine yet whatsoever. Our state government is really trusting that individuals will voluntarily comply. Another consequence is that our safety and our health is at risk. every day that you're not complying and wearing this mask. And this will also would afford counties to regress in the Safe Start plan. So for example, the counties that are, let's say, in phase 3, who are just one phase away from the finish line, if they do not comply, of course, the COVID-19 cases will increase. They can go from phase 3 back to phase 2. So those are some of the consequences for not complying with this new mandate. Back to you, Leanne.
Thank you, Frandel. You know, here in New Jersey, when the governor imposed that mandate, the store actually has the right to ask a person not wearing a face covering to leave the store. Now, there in Washington, what is advised when you see others not complying, especially in a store or inside a place or a room?
So as a fellow citizen, when you're out there and let's say you're shopping, you're doing your grocery shopping and you see individuals without a mask in black and white, it's advised to do nothing. We can't do anything because we do not know the reason why they aren't wearing a mask. It may be because of medical complexes. So for us to be ourselves is to comply. We know our health, wear a mask, and keep your distance.
Right. Thank you, Frandel. No, Thomas, there in Canada, there in your location, Alberta, Canada, are people wearing face coverings all the time, especially when you're out? What's your personal observations?
Well, there's no requirement here right now that you wear face coverings, although it's highly recommended if you can't maintain the social distancing. But businesses have sort of taken this on themselves. There's a number of stores, they won't let you in without a face mask. A number of services the same way. I had to write some licensing exams this past weekend, and I wasn't allowed into the examination room without a face mask. And it's stated right up front. They're not shy about that at all. Here we don't have really a spike in cases. The last couple of weeks, we've had 35, 40 new cases a day. So it's not a high number. And that's since we've eased a lot of restrictions. But again, you can't take your foot off the gas. You still have to maintain those precautions. Now is not the time to ease up on the cautiousness.
Agree. Thank you, Thomas, and stay safe. The Los Angeles road to recovery continues in LA County despite the increasing number of COVID-19 cases. In Delano, Eagle News correspondent Julian Fiesta reports.
Thank you, May Ann. The Los Angeles road to recovery continues in LA County amidst the increasing number of COVID-19 cases. Currently, in-store shopping services, restaurants, and businesses offering personal care are now able to reopen. Some of these businesses include grocery stores, farmers markets, bookstores, clothing stores, toy stores, tattoo parlors, piercing shops, hair and nail salons, massage therapy, and on-site dining. Businesses that will remain closed until further notice are arcades, bowling alleys, live performance theaters, stadiums, and nightclubs. With the numbers in Los Angeles County still increasing, the Los Angeles Public Health Department is urging all Angelenos to continue to practice physical distancing, wash hands frequently, and wear a face covering whenever we are around other people to help stop the spread of the virus. Recently, there has been pushback with Governor Gavin Newsom's mandate for all Californians to wear a face cloth covering when in public. Barbara Ferrer, the director of the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health, mentioned in a news release today, quote, "Change is hard, but we must change if we want to contain this virus. Face coverings must be worn because they help to stop the spread of the virus. I recognize there's a lot of pushback from people not wanting to wear face coverings. When wearing a seatbelt was made mandatory in California, there was a lot of pushback too. But the data proves that seatbelts save lives. The data also proves that wearing a face covering will help stop transmission of COVID-19, which will save lives. And that's what drives public health officials and is our passion, saving lives. In Los Angeles County, the number of new cases increased with 1,260 newly reported cases and 34 new deaths. The total number of confirmed cases in the county are 85,942, with 3,137 deaths, as announced today by the Los Angeles Public Health Department. Meanwhile, the state of California now has a total of 190,222 confirmed COVID-19 cases and 5,632 deaths, as recorded by the California Department of Public Health. In Delano, California, Julian Fiesta, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Mayan.
Thank you, Julian. Now, stay safe and stay healthy. It's sad that you have an increasing number of COVID-19 cases there, but we hope that you will still be responsibly continuing with your reopenings or upgrading to a higher stage or a safer stage. Now, Julian, have there been instances when people walk into a store or a restaurant and realize they have forgotten to wear face covering?
There definitely is a lot of times. There's many people who walk into a restaurant, who walk into a shopping center, and they've forgotten a face mask. I myself have actually forgotten, and I've had to go back home, grab the face mask so I could get some food, just so I can actually eat. But to add to that, one of my friends actually shared a story with me about a time when he was at the bakery. A mom and her young daughter walked in, stood in line behind my friend, but neither the mom nor the daughter were wearing face coverings. Now another gentleman noticed and very politely pointed this out to her. Turns out she had them in the car, but just like a lot of people, she forgot to put them on. What's funny is that the woman said she noticed her glasses weren't fogging up and that she could breathe easier, and she couldn't figure out why until that man told her she wasn't wearing a face mask.
Thank you for sharing that story, Jillian. Now, I asked actually about that because I myself experienced that too, maybe twice already, that I've forgotten my face mask, but like you, I've had to go back to the car and get it because we want to be responsible, take care of ourselves and others around us. How about you, Frendel? Any experience about forgetting your face covering, especially now that there's a mandate there in Washington? You have to be more responsible and not forgetful about wearing face coverings.
For me, Mayan, I haven't forgotten yet. And I think because I've had a lot of great practice and training due to work, we've always had to wear face masks to work. And so it's very easy for me to remember. And being around a lot of patients, being in the medical field, seeing the gravity of COVID-19, it's ingrained in my head. And so I make it a point to where it's the first thing that's in my purse. And I save some and leave some in the car, in all of our vehicles, so that should we forget our special mask that we love so much, at least we have a backup mask in the car. So not yet, but one day I might, but I'll just probably have to run to the car and grab it just like you.
Right. Like you, I want to get used to wearing it as well. How about you, Thomas? An experience about forgetting your face covering and entering to a store and being reprimanded or politely asked by someone else to wear your face mask?
Hasn't happened to me. My wife is very diligent about making sure I've got hand sanitizer with me, face masks, and covering this whole COVID-19 thing for the last few months, like Frendel, it gets ingrained. It gets ingrained into you because you realize the consequences. It's a bit inconvenient. We also keep extra masks in our vehicles, so really there just is no excuse. We try to keep staying safe top of mind.
I agree. Thank you, Thomas. Up next, let's talk about heirloom family recipes that have been passed down from generation to generation. This is Eagle News America.
everyone. I'm at the DJ and this is my baby girl, Snowy the white dog. Snowy and I are so thankful for many things. Even though we are living in interesting times, there are so many reasons to smile, be happy, and be thankful. Right, Snowy? What are you thankful for? Tell us on our social media. Just search for Net25 Kids. And also, don't forget to watch Anong Sa Inyo every Tuesday and Thursday, 4 to 4:30 p.m. And also Kid Cuento, which is every Mondays and Wednesdays, 4 to 4:30 p.m. Those are only on Net25. Thank you so much. Again, I'm at the DJ. This is Snowy, and we live in interesting times.
Welcome back. You are watching Eagle News America. I am Mayan Manzano Garzon in Sicklerville, New Jersey. In almost every home, there is this one recipe that we all look forward to during special occasions. That one distinct dish that without it, family gatherings won't be complete. Tonight, let's ask our Eagle News team what this dish is for their familias and if they have mastered cooking it themselves. Who wants to go first? How about we ask, okay, no volunteer, but we ask first. No volunteer, we call someone. Julian, what is this dish for your family and have you mastered cooking it yourself? Share.
Okay, so for myself, I'm actually horrible at cooking. I can burn water. I can make toast.
I haven't burnt
But
water.
my mom is trying really hard to help me out during quarantine, especially to learn how to cook. And one of the things that she's really famous for in our family gatherings is her Filipino spaghetti.
Ooh.
You know, that Filipino comfort food. It's good for parties, good for birthdays. And the thing that really sets it apart is that my family, we really love spicy food. So she tailors it to our taste. She adds the spicy ketchup. She even adds the spicy hot dogs. It's a type of spicy sausage that she adds, and it really makes that flavor pop. So I haven't mastered it myself, but the way that she did say to make it was just add your ground beef, you add your sauce, you add the spicy ketchup, which usually she uses Jufran, and then you it's great with everything. And then she adds all those. There's the noodles. You just make them normal. Add salt, boil them, and then the sausage. It's pretty easy to make, but for some reason, I still can't get it right. The noodles are either too soggy, they're too hard, sometimes it's not fully cooked through, and my mom gets so frustrated with me every single time.
You will get it eventually, Jillian. And you made us hungry, by the way, and we're just on the first one to share. How about you, Crandall? Any special dish, an heirloom recipe?
Yes, and it's a famous one that everybody can cook.
Ooh.
Well, some of us, most of us. I'm kidding. One day you'll learn.
Goodness.
It's adobo, and it's something about the way my mom cooks it. And I don't know if I should pass it along to all the viewers because unless you're my family, I'm going to pass you our secret. But I was able to adopt this recipe and cook it for my family. And aside from sinigang, adobo, and for the viewers that don't know what adobo is, I'm not sure how to explain it in English, but I'm sure all your Filipino friends have given you some at one point. But it's the only dish, aside from sinigang, that I can cook, like with my eyes closed. Like I know exactly what to do. I can multitask and cook this, and it being I'm just gonna say it's bomb. It is the best.
I'm curious now, Prendel. When we go there in Washington, you have to make that for us.
Yeah, I will.
EDC team. We'll
There
look
you go.
forward to your adobo.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
You know, I can relate to Julian earlier that prior to getting married, I don't really cook. Not that I hate it, it's just that I have my dad, my mom, my Lola to cook, so why bother learning how to cook, right? But you just have no choice. Once you get married, you have to learn. And then if I may share, before I ask Brother Thomas, the last but not the least, I have this heirloom recipe also that I found myself asking my sister for it because she was the one who learned it from my dad. It was from my Lola, my dad, and then my sister, and then me because I asked her to. Because I'm Ilocana, so it's an Ilocano pinakbet. If you don't know it, it's good. Just Google it. It's really difficult to describe, but it's good. Now we go now to Thomas. Thomas, we're excited because we know you're a cook. Now share these special dishes, heirloom dishes, plural.
I haven't mastered Filipino cooking yet. I love adobo, by the way, Frendel. As a matter of fact, as soon as the program is over, that's what's for dinner tonight.
Ooh.
Dinner. But Sunday dinner, when I grew up, was always a roast of beef, and all the vegetables were roasted around it in the pan. And, that'd be things like potatoes, carrots, onions, parsnips. Love parsnips, but roast them. Don't boil them. And it gets all the flavor of the juices of the meat. And then you got to make your gravy. But you don't use gravy mix. You boil down the juices, boil the fat off of them. I like to use flour. There's always that argument. You use flour as a thickener or cornstarch. I'm a flour guy. Cornstarch is for amateurs. You serve the roast beef. You serve the roast beef.
I have a lot in my
Now I've
country.
insulted everybody. You serve the roast beef with some horseradish. It gives it that. It's got that nice tang to it, and Yorkshire pudding, which is kind of an English dish. It's not a pudding like a dessert. It's like a bread. You bake that in some of the juices as well. And the key with roast beef is don't cook it at too high a heat. Too many people use too much heat when they cook. I don't like to go above 350. 325 is even better. A little lower heat, a little longer time, and you cook it for depending on how rare you want it. I like mine very rare, but for my wife, she likes her meat well done. So we cook it about a half hour per pound, and that's kind of it.
Thank you, Thomas. I love Filipino food, but I would really, really love to learn some American and English dish. So please, let's have a cooking show or cooking 101 with Thomas Likeness.
The one thing I'd like to just jump in here and say is I'm sad right now because I can't make a big dinner like that and invite people over. You can invite people over if they're kind of in your cohort group. We were talking about that on the break. But, we're not at the point where we can share food. And I know it seems rude. Why don't you come over for dinner? Oh, by the way, bring your own food. We can't have any of it, but you can't have any of ours. But, I mean, that's the reality we're in, at least for the next little while.
Mm-hmm. Right. Also, I heard, Thomas, that you have a library of cookbooks. Would you mind sharing that to us, too?
Okay. Yeah, there's a little bit of everything from Asian to East Indian to North American, just kind of a variety. I like to cook. Cooking is very easy. It's basic chemistry. And my kitchen is always clean. When I'm getting ready to put it on the table, most of the prep dishes are already done because after I've used them, just get them out of the way. I hate having a good dinner and then have a bunch of dishes.
So you're that type who cleans up while cooking.
Yeah. Drives people crazy.
So, Franda, let's go back to you. When was the last time you made this special adobo?
The last time was last week. And I cook once a week. I'm just like you, Mayan, except I still have that blessing. You know, my mom lives with me, so she's cooking with love all the time, as well as my loving husband, who enjoys to cook as well. And if they both enjoy it, I'm not going to get in their way. But maybe on the weekend, I definitely cook on the weekends.
You're lucky you're only assigned once a week, Brendel, to cook. How about Julian? How about Julian? When was the last time you tasted your mom's Filipino spaghetti? Because I love Filipino spaghetti myself.
It was actually last week. My mom as well. She made that spaghetti. Usually they're for special occasions, but since we're not going anywhere to be safe, my mom just makes it just for fun. I helped a little bit. I stirred the noodles. I cut up the sausages. But besides that, my mom.
Right. That's a blessing too. Our moms are really good cooks. And I'm sure that eventually you will learn that spaghetti, Julian, and you'll be confident enough to have us all taste it, right?
Can't wait. Can't wait for you guys to come over and make it for you. It'll be amazing, promise.
Ooh, looking forward to it, Julian. Although it is tempting to get together and celebrate family milestones like birthdays, anniversaries, etc., we should still be responsible because we are still battling the pandemic, right? Thomas, that's just like what you said. Even though it is sad that you love to cook and you would want to invite your guests. Now, what is your thoughts about, just waiting a bit, postponing celebrations, all that?
My wife back in April had her birthday is in April, and she had about 20 people at her celebration, but it was all done on Zoom. So we couldn't cut the cake and share it with them, but that's what we've had to do. Again, in Alberta, they're saying if it's people you sort of have in a cohort group, it's safe to hang around them, but they're still recommending do not share food. Mm-hmm. Even though you hang around them all the time, because the transmission of the virus from the common utensils and so on, and yeah, it's kind of a letdown in a way, but gradually things are easing, and we're going to beat this. One of these days we're going to beat it. There will be a treatment. There will be a vaccine. We just keep hoping.
Nicely said. Thank you, Thomas, and thank you once again for that reminder. Now, before we let you go, we continue to thank our frontline and essential workers with a round of applause. We appreciate you. And congratulations also to Class 2020. We are all proud of you. That is today's Eagle News America. Thank you for joining us. I am Mayan Manzano Garzon. We live in interesting times.